I'm going to request Pandit Satish Sharma also to weigh in. He's also on the British Board of Dharmic Scholars. This is a concern that's been addressed. The current British government has also taken cognizance, but it's three people. All three of them have the gumption to come on camera. There's a lady and there are two people there. One is a Sikh, the other one is just wearing a patka on his head, and then they've got the temerity to tell the Indian envoy there, it's best if you go. The envoy left, but these three, what should be done with them? What does the British law suggest should be done with such individuals?
Anandji, namaskar, Jai Shri Rama, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening to Colin Bloom as well. Let me just set the context of this slightly differently. The United Kingdom is a country where a woman meditating, thinking and praying outside of an abortion clinic can be arrested because of what she might be thinking and the fear that it might lead to a breach of the peace. The United Kingdom is a place where a Christian pastor preaching on the streets of the constituency of the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson can get arrested because what he is saying is potentially going to cause offence. And yet it's also the same United Kingdom which repeatedly has failed to provide the protection for members of foreign diplomatic missions, specifically with regard to the Indian High Commissioner and the Indian High Commission. I appreciate Colin's sentiments and how the British government is taking it very seriously, but we don't see that on the ground. You know, it beggars belief that an Indian High Commissioner is attending a Sikh gurdwara, which should immediately ring an alarm bell that there has been a matrix of identity aspects to do with that visit, which should ring an alarm bell saying that, well, we have an obligation to ensure that the Indian High Commissioner is protected. If there was going to be a flashpoint, if there was going to be some sort of a ridiculous attempt to disrupt the event, this is a precise set of circumstances where it would be happening. Outside of the Indian High Commission, the police failed to, shall we say, fulfill their responsibility and duty under international law to provide protection for the Indian High Commission. That's a failure. The Indian High Commissioner's vehicle travelling to this Sikh Gurdwara with the Indian High Commissioner present, protection of that Indian diplomatic mission rests with the police. There was absolutely no evidence. I watched the videos and it beggars belief that there is no police presence there to ensure that the peace is maintained, if nothing else, and that adequate protection is provided. One thing I would emphasize, though, and that is that although under religious identity politics it's possible to get away with a lot of nonsense, the reality is that the probability is that a British citizen, which is this extremist gentleman, has attacked the member of a foreign diplomatic mission. He has breached the security. This is the reality of it. Now, we shouldn't go in and get lost in the miasma of confusion that there is Khalistani politics, that there is Punjab extremism, that there is Sikh, etc., etc., etc. This act is an act of criminality, and it should be dealt with as such, with the most severe penalties imposed. The British Police Authority, and indeed, I think there was a report on the purpose of policing in the United Kingdom, where they defined exactly what the purpose of the police is. And a significant part of that purpose is to ensure that all communities feel safe and protected as they go about their lawful activities. How far short have we fallen of that purpose? I don't think there is any excuse, and the statement that the Indian government and the Indian diplomats were extremely upset with the extremist is actually a deflection. The Indian government and the diplomats are rightfully distressed and upset at the lack of police protection which international law requires the British government to provide for their members.
You make a valid point that this is an act of criminality. I'll correct myself, and there were four people. One person making the video, there was a lady who's covered herself, and there are two individuals. But Mr. Bloom, these are British nationals. They are not Indian citizens. There is no demand for the balkanization of our country from within our country. These are international citizens who are doing a lopsided narrative that's been pushed. But as per British law, can they get away with this? And why is it that four people are allowed this kind of leeway with Indian envoys and Indian delegates? The vast majority that you spoke about, British Sikhs, they have also not outrightly come and condemned. The Gurdwara has not taken action against these four people. They have said we leave it to the cops. There has to be a certain level of internal ostracization also and rejection.
I think, Anand, you make some very good points, and Satish before you made some good points as well. Look, when I was writing my report and interviewing a very great number of British Sikhs, one of the things that they said was that the level of intimidation and fear and the chilling effect that the intimidation had on them meant that they were even too scared to put their names forward. So an awful lot of the comments and the evidence that was given was done was given anonymously, and not just my report, but other reports from within the UK Extremism Commission and others, where the pro-Khalistan extremists and Sikh extremism was being discussed. People do it under the condition of anonymity because of the very chilling and because of the very aggressive tactics that is used. And of course, I'm old enough to remember when General Bra was in London and had his throat cut by terrorists, by Sikh terrorists at that time. And so it is very worrying when you see the rise of pro-Khalistan extremism and other Sikh extremists within the community that are able to get this close to the Indian High Commissioner. I'm not suggesting that he was, in any kind of mortal danger, but you never know. And I do think that, it is probably appropriate that he has that he has, more protection than was evidently seen, because it could have got nasty very, very quickly.
Yes.
You just don't know how people are going to respond. Now, these individuals in the video, they may have never had it across their mind to do anything as wicked or as evil as the individuals that attacked General Bra, but there will be people within the community. Yes. who may have that intention, and so I do think that additional protection is required. On the point that Satish made regarding issues of other faith groups who have been neglected in the UK, I write about that in my report. My report isn't focused on Sikhs. My report is focused on faith in the UK. Yeah. And so the issues that he mentioned, such as Christian preachers that have been arrested, people that have been dealt with inappropriately by British institutions like the police and others, I do detail that in my report, which is why one of the clear recommendations to the British government is that they need to improve their faith literacy and be less, and have, perhaps be a bit more open to the fact that people of faith and places of worship of all faiths make a tremendous contribution to British society, and they should be, they should be free to do what they please, so long as they don't harm other people, and that's the key point.